Hey ACA Executive Vice President Cody Burkham here with you. Friday, February 5th, going to give you the third installment of our Hats on the Hill series that we take a look at the what's been going on at the state capitol for the past week. So with that, we're going to jump right into it. So this has been a big week for Arkansas cattle producers. You may remember last week I mentioned House Bill 1315 by Representative Deanne Vaught. That is our state meat inspection bill that would allow for a state meat inspection program to start here in Arkansas and be directed by the Arkansas Department of Agriculture. That actually went through the committee Wednesday and went through the House Agriculture Committee, and it was just a great day to showcase what is going on inside the Arkansas cattle industry and how this bill will help not only cattle producers but consumers across the state, schools across the state, and even our local food banks across the state. What kind of positive benefits that the state meat inspection program could have. And so we had Mr. Philip DeSalvo and Miss Beth DeSalvo, who many of you may know is our second vice president. They came in and testified before the committee on behalf of the cattlemen. We also had Area 7 Vice President Mr. Michael Lee come in and testify as well. He testified on behalf of Farm Bureau, but it was certainly a unified time there at the Capitol, the cattlemen's and Arkansas Farm Bureau working together to make sure we got that through the committee and across the finish line there on the House side. And it passed unanimously, unopposed, at the House Agriculture Committee. And then it went across the House floor yesterday, February the 4th, and it had a very, very, very strong vote of 95 yeas, 0 against, and 5 not voting, which is not unusual. Very seldom do you ever have every member of the House voting on a piece of legislation. So 95-0, that shows a lot of strength for that piece of legislation. And we want to thank every member of the Arkansas State House for their support on this piece of legislation. It's going to do big things. No matter if they're in a rural or an urban district, we believe state meat inspection will just take the ability for Arkansans to access good quality beef and good quality proteins. It's just going to take that to the next level and protect us a little more against, COVID pandemics or pandemics in general, or these things that throw our supply chain into kind of a frenzy like we've seen with COVID. So big deal there, that getting past the House. It is now off to the Senate, and more than likely will be heard by the Senate Agricultural Committee someday next week, either Tuesday or Thursday. Don't know the date yet that it's going to go through the Senate Ag, but you can bet your bottom dollar that we're going to be there. The ACA is going to be there with more testimony, more support for this bill to get it across the finish line of the Senate, and then finally to the governor's desk. And we're really excited about that. Looking forward to it, to finishing up what we promised we were going to work on for the Arkansas cattle producers there. Another issue that I mentioned last week was some plant board activities, some bills dealing with the makeup of the Arkansas State Plant Board. As you know, there's been a lot of controversy surrounding the Arkansas State Plant Board and its regulatory authority and how it was made up. I mentioned there was some lawsuits before the Arkansas State Supreme Court. This week, Representative David Hillman, who is also a farmer over around the Elmira area, introduced a bill, HB 1210. And what this bill deals with is the makeup of the plant board and how members are appointed to the state plant board. So right now, it's kind of a break. The governor appoints some members to the state plant board, and then some associations within the state actually appoint members. So that's what the whole legislation and lawsuit was over. Representative Hillman's bill would change the way that the members are appointed from the associations and give that power to the governor, but the associations would still have some say in it. So the associations would send 2 names to the governor, and the governor could pick from those 2 names to be appointed to the plant board, thereby trying to make it constitutional and legal and make the current lawsuit that's before the state Supreme Court null and void. So that passed the House Ag Committee this week. It also passed the House, the full House, with a 97 97 representatives voting in the affirmative and 3 not voting. So that was a good, strong vote for Representative Hillman's bill there. The ACA did not take any official position on that, but we were certainly interested to see which way that would go. And that will also be before the Senate Ag Committee next week on Tuesday or Thursday as well. Just some other quick pieces of legislation. Representative Mary Bentley from here in kind of the central Arkansas area had 4 bills before the House Agriculture Committee this week. HB 1248, 1249, 1250, and 1251. And all of these bills were dealing with the way the levee districts here in Arkansas function. As you might remember, back in 2019, we had about a 500-year flood, 100-year, 500-year flood, somewhere in there, along the Arkansas rivers, and then some of the rivers over in eastern Arkansas, and just did many millions of dollars worth of damage along that river system. Affected both cattle producers, swine producers, row croppers. It affected Arkansas agriculture very heavily. So the governor therefore appointed a levee task force after those floods were taken care of. And these pieces of legislation are some of the things that the task force has recommended to try to mitigate some of the problems that we have with the levee boards here in Arkansas. HB 1248 is a bill that allows levee districts to consolidate. If they're no longer really functioning, you could put 2 levee boards together. It is hard to get people to serve on these levee boards, and so that would just allow a bigger levee board to consolidate with maybe a smaller one. That passed the House Ag Committee, then passed the House Ag passed the House floor yesterday with a vote of 95-0. HB 1249 was where if a levee board just wanted to dissolve, right now they don't have a way to do that legally. So all the board members just kind of scatter across the winds, and so but you still have an entity there that has no control over it, no way to fund anything, no way to take care of any business. So HB 1249 would allow that board to dissolve, a dissolution type piece of legislation that passed the House Ag Committee, passed the House floor 96-0 yesterday as well. HB 1250, this is an assessments bill. Now this one was a little more controversial. This is going to allow, there's some levee boards in the state that have an actual, they can, it's not necessarily a taxing authority, but they can assess lands within a levee district up to 25 cents an acre. Now that 25 cents an acre was put in statute in Arkansas back in the late 30s, I believe. And so what HB 1250 does is allow that assessment rate to be raised from 25 cent maximum to a $2.50 per acre maximum. So that's not going to affect a lot of people in Arkansas, as there's only, I believe, 3 levee boards in Arkansas that even have that authority to assess lands within the state in their respective districts. But that also did pass the House Ag Committee. It passed the House floor with a vote of 71 yea, 17 nay, 11 voting present, and 1 not voting at all. So you can tell there was some different thoughts on that bill. HB 1251. This is a bill that says you have to, if you serve, or if you're a levee district, you have to submit a yearly report to the state as to your activities, how much money you have on hand, and how that money has been spent, and things like that. That is something that they learned in 2019, is that there wasn't a lot of oversight over some of these boards, and they didn't have to report to anybody really. So this bill remedies that. It was pretty strongly supported. It was supported in the House Ag Committee, pretty strongly supported on the House floor with the vote of 94 yeas, 3 nays, and 3 not voting. So all in all, those were interesting to watch pass. If you have land along a major river system where there's a levee, such as in the Arkansas River Valley, or over in southwest Arkansas along the Red River, or maybe the Mississippi in eastern Arkansas, those probably apply to you in some shape, form, or fashion. So certainly want to talk with your representative about those if you think that you're going to be affected by those. So anyway, like I said, very busy week on the House Ag side. Not so much on the Senate Ag side. In fact, Senate Ag didn't meet any this week, but they're going to get a desk load of bills from the House Ag Committee next week, and so they'll be fired up and ready to go. And we're going to be right there watching that and, like I said, providing testimony, especially on that HB 1315 bill. And so we are just really excited to go ahead and get that across the finish line and send it onto the governor's desk. So with that, we'll go ahead and wrap up for this week. We appreciate your membership. We appreciate you being involved in the Arkansas cattle industry. If there's anything we can do here for you at the ACA, 501-224-2114 is our number. Hope everybody has a great weekend. Stay safe, stay healthy. We'll see you next week.